Good evening. It is Tuesday, November the 15th, 2022, 6 o'clock p.m. I'd like to call the special meeting of the Peoria City Council to order. I'd also like to welcome everyone watching tonight's meeting on cable channel 22 and on our YouTube channel, City of Peoria TV. Madam Clerk, the council mics are open. Please call the roll.
Mayor Ali,
Present.
Councilmember Allen,
Present.
Councilmember Sear, Councilmember Graham, Councilmember Jackson, Councilmember Jensen, Councilmember Kelly,
Here.
Councilmember Euler,
Here.
Councilmember Riggenbach,
Here.
Councilmember Reckriegel, and Councilmember Velpula.
Present.
We have a quorum present, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Everyone, please join me and stand for a moment of silent prayer or silent reflection, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Madam Clerk.
22-388 is a communication from the Mayor and Corporation Council with a request to approve the declaration of local state of emergency. And on your desk, there is a handout in yellow of the declaration.
Can I get a motion to approve? Moved by Councilmember Allen. May I get a second? Seconded by Councilmember Velpula. Please cast your ballots. Motion passes unanimously. Madam Clerk?
22-389 is a communication from the City Manager and Public Works Director with a request to approve a resolution to raise parking rates at city-owned facilities.
Councilmember Graham?
Thank you very much. Did somebody pull that item? 389? Oh, I got
There's
you.
no consent.
Okay. Yes, thank you. I would move to defer this issue until after the parking study is done.
Is there a second on that? Seconded by Councilmember Reckriegel. Any further discussion? Councilmember Reckriegel?
Hey, thank you, Madam Mayor. I was actually, I think we were in the same vein on that with our parking study results, I think, going to be coming out in not too far in the near future, that would be an acceptable way to be able to start this conversation. So I would second very happily the deferral on that.
Very good. Any other discussion? Please cast your ballots. Motion passes unanimously. That's that's until the parking study is done. Okay. Madam Clerk?
22-390 is a communication from the City Manager and Finance Director Comptroller with a request to adopt an ordinance amending Chapter 31 of the Code of the City of Peoria pertaining to stormwater utility.
Mr. Manager?
Thank you. Maybe I'll turn over to Director Crowdy to explain this resolution.
Absolutely, Mr. Manager. The ordinance in front of you tonight would have the city not do the CPI increase for this year, which is a reminder, CPI for this year is 8.8%, so that would have been a substantial increase to the rates. The ordinance in front of you keeps the rates consistent with 2021 because council also approved to not do the CPI increases for 2022. So the ordinance as written right now would continue those CPI increases effective for 2024. And I'm available if there's any questions.
Any questions? Councilmember Sear?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Move to approve.
Okay, is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Kelly. Councilmember Allen?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Director Craddy, just a quick clarifying question. If we defer and keep these rates the same this year and we pick them back up and they start increasing in 2024 as mentioned, are they going to increase more in 2024 because we did keep the rates the same at this year?
No, so the CPI increases will be based off of what the rates were in 2021. We don't go back and recalculate based off of past CPI. It will be based off of what these current rates are, whatever CPI will be for this coming year.
Thank you, sir. I yield, Madam Mayor.
Welcome. Cast your ballots. Motion passes unanimously. Madam Clerk?
22-391 is a communication from the City Manager and Finance Director Comptroller with a request to adopt an ordinance abating the tax heretofore levied to pay principal of and interest on general obligation corporate purpose bonds of the City of Peoria, Peoria County, Illinois, 2015 Series B, C, and D, 2016 Series C, 2018 Series A, 2020 Series A and B, and 2021 A, B, and C, and the partial abatement of taxes levied to pay principal and interest on 2018 Series B general obligation bonds in the amount of $563,013, the partial abatement of taxes levied to pay principal and interest on 2019 general obligation bonds in the amount of $553,250, and the partial abatement of taxes levied to pay principal and interest on 2022 Series general obligation bonds in the amount of $144,376.
Mr. Manager?
Thank you. I'm going to ask Director Crowdy once again to explain this resolution and ordinance.
Absolutely. Obviously, this is a very wordy ordinance. The end goal of this ordinance is, if you remember, as part of the budget process, Council includes $2 million for road projects. Every bond issuance that the city completes, we have an associated levy for. So what we are doing in this ordinance is abating those levies minus the $2 million for road projects is what, in essence, this is doing. It's just a very long-winded way of getting to that result. So I'm available if anyone has any questions.
Thank you, Director. Any questions for Director Craddy? Councilmember Seer?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Move to approve.
Okay. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Reckriegel. Please cast your ballots. Motion passes unanimously. Madam Clerk?
22-392 is a communication from the City Manager and Finance Director Comptroller with a request to adopt an ordinance levying the taxes for fiscal year 2023 for municipal purposes for the City of Peoria, Illinois.
Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Once again, I'll turn it over to Director Crowdy.
The ordinance in front of you tonight is the property tax levy for next fiscal year. The grand total of the levy is $27,981,048. That is around a 4.3% increase to the overall levy. However, the rate itself is staying flat, as the council has done in previous years. And so this is keeping that consistent. So I'm available if there's any other questions with the levy.
Any additional questions? Councilmember Kelly?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Director Craddy, I have gone through this a few times. I haven't spoken to you about it. But the schedule that we're looking at looks to me like a rate increase. 1.1125 versus 1.1120, and the library rate up as well. I'm misreading something, I suppose.
So the table in the council communication also includes the associated debt levies that automatically get levied, and obviously based off of the direction the council just took with the last approval, includes those rates. That equates to around a 22 cents per thousand was what the number was last year. on top of the 1.35. However, the levy, as you're seeing it, is staying flat with last year.
Okay, so we are raising the rate. Mr. Manager, in the past, when we've incurred new debt, do we cut our posted rate to keep things the same?
So, Councilman, what we have tried to do is to keep the rate at the same level. If there's been a change in EAV, then that would go up or down depending on that. That's kind of been the approach we take. Some of the difference is that the EAV doesn't, we estimate the EAV growth right now, and as our finance director estimated, it's 4.3%. If that number's higher, the rate goes down. If that number's lower, the rate goes up. Based upon our conversations with the supervisor of assessments at the county, we think that 4.3% is where he's estimating our EAV growth to be. So that's how we've tended to look at that, coupling, because we take not only the $2 million of debt that we just talked about earlier, but the debt service for the library bonds, coupled with then what we're looking at as far as the operating levies. And 80% of our property tax levy goes to cover the cost of pensions. So.
Let me ask the question again, Mr. Manager. All those things that you just said, I think, are fairly common knowledge. If we incur new debt, do we lower this rate so that our rate stays the same?
If you incur new debt, you have to have a way to pay it back.
I understand that. I
And
understand that, sir.
that's the operative question there.
So we are raising the amount of money that we're going to have coming in for operations, for pension payments, et cetera, et cetera. Is that correct? I think it is correct.
What we're capturing is the EAV growth, with the rate staying the same.
Mr. Manager, this is not the EAV rate of growth.
Correct.
All right. This is the tax rate. So we have increased the tax rate to make up for the fact that we're not going to be taxing for those bonds. My question is, when we increase our borrowing, which we need to pay off, do we decrease this operational rate typically?
No.
Okay. Thank you. I'll be voting against this, Madam Mayor.
All right. Councilmember Sear?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Craddy, how do we repay the loan we took from the IEPA?
So that gets paid out of the revenues from our sewer fund.
So it has nothing to do with this tax right
Does
here.
not.
Can you break it down again for us and everybody's listening, because I don't see how you add up those numbers, but so the number is $1.11 basically, correct? What makes up that number? What's in the $1.11?
So within that $1.11, that is everything outside of the debt levy. So it's the general operations, it's the amounts for our police and fire contributions, it's for IMRF, that's what makes up that 1.1%.
So does the library have the ability to levy a tax?
They do.
They do. So the 45 cents, that's their levy.
That is correct.
Again, I heard you earlier, but I just want to make sure it's clear in my head. So how do we get from 1.11 or $1.11 to $1.35? Can you explain that again, that 23, 24 cents difference?
So the $1.35, that is both the city and the library combined, because we levy the taxes on behalf of the library. I think the confusion with the council communication is the table gets to a number more around 1.58. That is inclusive of the debt levy for both the library as well as the city portion. So that is where it's not a rate increase. It's just that number is not included in this because those levies were approved at the time of the issuance of the debt. So those automatically occur short of council action to not have those levies go through.
Thank you, sir. Move to approve, ma'am.
Yes, thank you for asking that question. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Regenbach. Any other discussion? Please cast your ballots. Motion passes with 3 nays, Kelly, Euler, Ruckriegel. Madam Clerk?
22-393 is a communication from the City Manager and Finance Director Comptroller with a request to approve a resolution adopting the 2023 revised budget for the City of Peoria.
Mr. Manager?
Thank you. This is the vote that we'll take to adopt the budget. This includes all of the changes that council voted on at the last meeting. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Member Ruckriegel.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No questions. Just for the record, I'll be abstaining because of a conflict of interest.
Okay.
Thank you.
Welcome. Councilmember Kelly.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll be voting against the budget as well. I'm rather frustrated that here we are swimming in money, relatively speaking, and we seem to have to spend all of it, which puts us in a very difficult position when some of this money dries up. Furthermore, we've got this Damocles sword hanging over us, our pensions, and there seems to be no appetite for enacting policies beyond keeping the status quo in our city. There are policies out there, big, small, and in between, that could return some of this money to the taxpayers, that could encourage growth in our city, that we're not doing. We're just like kids at Christmas. We got some more money, well, let's spend more money. And we're obligating ourselves into the future, and I don't think, well, clearly with the pensions, but elsewhere as well, we're not doing anything to be prudent with this windfall. We're going to spend it all. And so I'll be voting against. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay. I just want to say, at the last meeting, you suggested that you would be coming back in December after this budget process with some proposals.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
That window is still open.
I understand that, Madam Mayor. I've been polling some of the council, and there seems to be very little stomach for those proposals.
Okay.
Thank you,
You're
Madam
welcome.
Mayor.
Councilmember Regenbach?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will be supporting this budget, and I think it's obvious from those of us that have been sitting through this process. It's not a perfect document, but it definitely has had a lot of input from all of us council members. I'm particularly pleased to see our fund balance reaching and exceeding our standards. And Mr. Manager, if you could just refresh our memory on the additional pension payments that we're going to be making, because I think that the comments from Councilman Kelly are a little misleading. We are attacking this pension.
Thank you, Councilman. Yes, on page 12 in the budget book, we make it very clear that police pension costs increase 8.1% from $14.5 million to $15.7 million. So that's an increase of $2.2 million that we're adding this year and that is funded. We're making that payment. Fire pension costs increase 17.8% from $13.2 million to $15.6, and that is fully funded in this budget.
So those are some significant dollars that this council has appropriated to the number one thing that we talk about, and being our public safety pensions. So to say that we're spending this recklessly, I think, would be an unfair characterization. I think there's been a lot of due diligence done through this, and the end product is something that our citizens can be pleased with. So I will be supporting it. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Welcome. Councilmember Allen?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will be in support of the budget tonight as well, too, as presented. I appreciate the feedback that was brought back with the different motions and things that were incorporated in this new budget proposal. I think this budget, is it perfect? I mean, there's never such thing as a perfect budget when we talk about being able to get a sound footing as far as our pension obligations. I think that's important. When I think about how we allocated some of the soft dollars we had from the different federal grants, we're in pretty good shape right now. And so I think when we think about where we want to be at in the future, and I think, Councilman Kelly, you are onto something, though, and that's something that I've stated is, how do we look to be a little bit more proactive in investing funds, because we know at some point some of this money will dry out. But I am a little leery with some of the suggestions that you did bring forth, just because I would like to see if we're going to provide a break to the citizens, I would like to see it encompass the entire body and not just a group of people who may own properties who may be landlords. So I think that this is the right budget for the right time. I appreciate the work that's been put into it, and I'll be supporting it tonight.
Councilmember Velpula?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a clarification question, Mr. Manager. So it looks like we paid $4.6 million towards the pension obligations this year.
It's an increase. Of
Yeah,
4.6,
increase.
yeah.
So what are our plans for the 2023?
So as we mentioned in the kind of the outlook section of the narrative, as we start to look forward, we're anticipating that we're still going to see at least 6% increases in pension obligations as we move out. And, we're going to be able to take advantage, and our recommendation would be that you as the council take advantage of the additional revenues that we've received this year and use those to make some of those additional contributions in the next couple of years. And that's going to allow us to cover those costs for the foreseeable future. That was beginning on page 18 in the budget book. We talked about that growth in pensions and how we can utilize this unanticipated revenue that we've received in the general fund to make those pension payments in 24, 25, and 26.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Welcome. I want to thank the council for all the discussions, the deep discussions, the hard discussions, the due diligence that you've taken over the past several weeks in terms of requesting report backs, a lot of report backs from the manager and his team, Mr. Craddy. I think that a lot of effort has went into this process, and it's appreciated. It's been a little bit over 3 years for me being on the council, and we haven't been this fortunate to see these types of numbers in terms of a surplus in our budget, and it feels really good. And it's good that we're able to do some additional things that we haven't been able to do in the past, but at the same time, I think that we've attempted to be responsible stewards of the people's money, and I just commend the work that has taken place over the last several weeks. With that, I would ask for a motion to approve the budget. Moved by Councilmember Regenbach, seconded by Councilmember Velpula. Please cast your ballots. Motion passes with 3 nays, Sear, Kelly, and Euler, and 1 abstention, Reckriegel. Thank you. Madam Clerk?
We are at citizens' opportunity to address the city council.
Any cards?
We do not have any cards, no.
Okay.
There is no executive session, so then we are at adjournment.
Can I get a motion moved by Councilmember Allen, seconded by Councilmember Kelly? Please cast your ballots. Motion passes. Thank you for your service. We're adjourned.